Your parents bought a house on one income. You can barely afford rent on two. Your parents paid for college with a summer job. You're drowning in student debt. Your parents retired at 60 with a pension and savings. You've accepted you'll probably work until you die. And here's what really hurts. Everyone tells you it's your fault. You're not working hard enough. You're spending too much on avocado toast and Netflix. You need to budget better. But what if I told you this has nothing to do with how hard you work? What if the entire game changed before you were even born and nobody bothered to tell you the new rules? Before we get into this, drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. I want to see how many people around the world are feeling the same frustration. And if you're new here, subscribe. This channel is about understanding money the way they should have taught you in school. Let me show you the math that explains everything. Let's start with housing because that's where you feel it most. In 1970, the median home in America cost $23,000. The median household income was $9,800. Quick math. That's 2.3 years of income to buy a house. Today, the median home costs $420,000. Median household income is around $80,000. That's 5.25 years of income. Your parents needed 2.3 years of income for a house. You need 5.25 years. The same house, same job. More than double the time. Sound familiar? Now let's look at cars. In 1970, a new car cost around $3,500. That was about 4 months of median income. Today, the average new car costs $48,000. That's over 7 months of median income, almost double. College. In 1970, a year at a public university cost about $400. You could pay for an entire year with a summer job. Today, that same public university costs $11,000 per year. A summer job at minimum wage gets you maybe $4,000. You'd need to work 3 summers to pay for 1 year. And here's the thing that should make you furious. Productivity has gone up. American workers are more productive than ever. We create more value per hour than any generation in history. So where did the money go? If productivity went up and your share went down, someone else's share went up. This isn't conspiracy theory. This is basic math. Money didn't disappear. It was transferred. The question is how? And the answer starts with something that happened in 1971. I want you to do something. Go to a website called WTFHappenedIn1971.com. Seriously, that's a real website. What you'll see is dozens of charts. Income inequality, productivity versus wages, housing costs, healthcare costs, divorce rates, incarceration rates. They all break in the same year, 1971. Something happened that year that fundamentally changed how money works in America, and almost nobody knows about it. Here's the story. After World War II, the world created something called the Bretton Woods system. The idea was simple. The US dollar would be backed by gold. Every $35 was worth 1 ounce of gold, and other countries could exchange their dollars for American gold anytime they wanted. This kept everyone honest. The US couldn't just print unlimited dollars because other countries would show up asking for gold, and America only had so much gold. For 25 years, this system worked. The American middle class thrived. One income bought a house, a car, and raised a family. The American dream was real because the money was real. But then something went wrong. America started spending more than it had. The Vietnam War, social programs. The government needed money, so they printed it. More dollars chasing the same amount of gold. Other countries noticed. France, under Charles de Gaulle, started demanding gold for their dollars. They literally sent ships to New York to collect physical gold. Other countries followed. America was hemorrhaging gold. The whole system was about to collapse. So on August 15, 1971, President Richard Nixon went on television and made an announcement that changed everything. He said the U.S. would temporarily suspend the convertibility of dollars to gold. Just temporary, just to stabilize things. That temporary suspension is now 54 years old. Here's what happened after 1971. With no gold backing, there was no limit to how many dollars could be created, and create them they did. In 1971, the total U.S. money supply was about $600 billion. Today, it's over $21 trillion. That's a 35x increase. But here's the critical part. When you increase the money supply, you don't create wealth. You dilute it. Every new dollar makes every existing dollar worth less. Think of it like this. You're at a pizza party with 10 people and 10 slices. Everyone gets 1 slice. Fair. Now imagine someone prints 90 more pizza tickets and hands them out to their friends. There are now 100 tickets for 10 slices. Your ticket that used to get you a whole slice now gets you 1/10 of a slice. That's inflation. That's what's been happening to your salary for 54 years. The pizza didn't change. The number of tickets did. This is why your salary buys 50% less than your parents did. Not because you're paid less in raw numbers. Nominal wages have gone up, but the purchasing power of those wages has been cut in half. Here's the proof. If you adjust for inflation, the minimum wage in 1968 had the purchasing power of about $13.50 today. The current federal minimum wage is $7.25. Workers in 1968 could buy almost twice as much with their minimum wage as workers today. Sound familiar? The game was rigged before you started playing. Every year, they print more tickets. Every year, your slice gets smaller. And they have the audacity to tell you to work harder. So if your purchasing power was cut in half, where did it go? Money doesn't disappear. It transfers. Let me show you. Since 1971, the stock market is up 4,000%. Real estate in major cities is up 3,000%. Gold went from $35 to $2,600. That's 7,400%. Meanwhile, median wages adjusted for inflation, up maybe 15%. In 54 years, that's 0.3% per year. Do you see what happened? The new money that was created went into assets, stocks, real estate, commodities. The people who already owned those assets got richer, a lot richer. The people who owned only their labor, who saved in dollars, who did everything they were told, they got poorer. This is the great wealth transfer of our lifetime. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's documented. It's in the Federal Reserve's own data. The top 10% of Americans own 93% of all stocks. The top 1% own more wealth than the entire middle class combined. And the gap grows every single year. Because every time they print more money, asset prices go up and your savings go down. Your parents could save their way to wealth. You cannot. The game has changed. But here's what they don't want you to know. There's a way to stop playing their game. In part 2, I'm going to show you exactly what the wealthy have done to protect themselves from this theft. Why one specific asset that nobody talks about has quietly outperformed almost everything else, and why at $60 it might be the last affordable way to opt out of a system designed to make you poor. In part 1, we uncovered the math that explains why your salary buys 50% less than your parents did. It's not your fault. In 1971, they broke the money, and for 54 years, every new dollar printed has stolen purchasing power from your savings and transferred it to asset owners. Now let me show you what the wealthy have been doing to protect themselves, and why one overlooked asset at $60 might be your best shot at opting out of a rigged system. Here's something they don't teach you in school. The wealthy don't save in dollars, they save in assets. When inflation hits, cash loses value. But assets, real things like real estate, stocks, gold, they tend to rise with inflation, often faster than inflation. This is why the rich get richer during money printing. They own the things that go up. You own the thing that goes down, dollars. Let me show you the scoreboard since 1971. Cash in a savings account lost 87% of its purchasing power. That's not a typo. $1 from 1971 buys 13 cents worth of stuff today. Gold, up from $35 to $2,600. If you held gold instead of dollars, you didn't just preserve your wealth. You multiplied it 74 times. Real estate, up from $23,000 median to $420,000. An 18x increase. The S&P 500, up from about $100 to over $6,000 today. A 60x increase. See the pattern? Everything real went up. The only thing that went down is the paper they convinced you to save. Your parents' generation could save in dollars because dollars held value. Your generation cannot. Every year you hold cash, you're losing 6 to 10% of your purchasing power. But here's the problem. Gold at $2,600 an ounce. Most people can't accumulate meaningful wealth in gold. A single ounce costs more than most people have in their savings account. Real estate, the median home is $40,000. You need 6 figures just for a down payment. Stocks, they're at all-time highs. The S&P 500 trades at 25 times earnings. Expensive by any historical measure. So what's left for the average person trying to escape the dollar trap? There's one asset that's been deliberately suppressed for 44 years. One asset that's finally breaking free. One asset that's still affordable for regular people. Silver. Now before you click away thinking this is some gold bug nonsense, hear me out. The math on silver is unlike anything else in the financial system. Let me show you why. In January 1980, silver hit $50 an ounce. That was 45 years ago. Adjusted for inflation, $50 in 1980 equals roughly $190 today. Silver today, $60, which means silver is still 70% below its inflation-adjusted 1980 high. And while gold has made new all-time highs, while real estate has made new all-time highs, while stocks have made new all-time highs, silver is still 70% below its price it already reached 45 years ago. How is that possible? The silver market is rigged, and I don't say that as speculation. Banks have admitted it. They've paid billions in fines for it. Here's the story. In 1979, two billionaire brothers named Nelson and William Hunt started buying silver. They saw the same thing we just discussed: money printing, inflation, dollar devaluation. They decided to protect themselves with silver. They bought so much that the price went from $6 to $50 in about a year. But then something happened that reveals how the game really works. The COMEX, the exchange where silver trades, changed the rules. They implemented liquidation-only trading. You could sell silver, but you couldn't buy. Only sell. Think about that. They literally made it illegal to buy. Only sell. The price crashed. The Hunt brothers went bankrupt, and a system was put in place to make sure no one could ever challenge the paper money system again. That system is called the paper silver market. Today, on the COMEX, they trade about 300 ounces of paper silver for every 1 ounce of physical silver that actually exists. It's fractional reserve banking, but for metals. This paper market sets the price. And for 44 years, it's kept silver artificially cheap. But something is changing. The paper game works until physical demand overwhelms it. And right now, physical demand is exploding. Silver isn't just money, it's an industrial metal. The most conductive metal on Earth. Every solar panel needs silver. Global solar installations are growing 30% per year. By 2030, solar alone will consume more silver than the world currently mines. Every electric vehicle needs silver. The average EV uses 3 times more silver than a gas car. Every smartphone, every computer, every medical device. Silver is in everything. 2024 marked the 4th consecutive year of supply deficit. More silver was consumed than was mined. The gap is being filled by draining existing stockpiles. And those stockpiles are running low. COMEX registered inventory has dropped 65% since 2021. The vaults are bleeding. Meanwhile, countries like India are importing record amounts of physical silver. In 2024, India imported more silver than any country in history. They're draining Western vaults and shipping the Middle East. The paper game is cracking. And when paper promises meet physical reality, prices don't rise gradually. They reprice violently. So let's put this together. Your salary buys 50% less because the money is broken. It has been since 1971. The wealthy protect themselves with real assets: gold, real estate, stocks. But those assets are now expensive, out of reach for most people. Silver is still 70% below its inflation-adjusted high. It's been suppressed for 44 years. But the suppression is cracking. Physical demand is exploding. Inventories are draining. The math says the price must rise. At $60 an ounce, silver is still affordable. A single ounce costs less than dinner for 2. You don't need to be wealthy to start accumulating real money. This isn't financial advice. I'm not telling you to buy silver. I'm telling you to understand the game. The game is your dollars are designed to lose value. Real assets are designed to gain value. For 54 years, this transfer has made the rich richer and the workers poorer. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. Your parents didn't know the game was rigged. They trusted the system because the system used to work for them. You don't have that luxury. The system was redesigned before you were born. And every year you save in dollars, you're paying an invisible tax to the people who own assets. But now you understand. And understanding is the first step to doing something about it. If this video helped you see money differently, share it with someone who's struggling and doesn't know why. Subscribe if you want to keep learning how the financial system really works. And ask yourself this question: if your parents' generation could build wealth by saving dollars, and your generation can't, what are you going to do differently? The answer to that question will determine whether your kids ask the same question or whether you break the cycle. I'll see you in the next one.